Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Estancia Lapacho. And as you can see, we are here in the town square. And we're staring up at the clock because it's been brought to my attention by one of my viewers that the clock is actually a moving clock. You can actually see that the hands are moving as the minutes move on our clock in the top right hand corner. And this clock does bong as well, although not every hour. But we're here, it's 9 o'clock, or just about to hit 9 o'clock, and the clock will bong as soon as it hits 9. There you go, a nice little hidden feature on this map. And this clock, the minutes change in line with the clock in the top right hand corner. That's a constant feature. The bongings, it bongs at midnight once. It bongs 9 times at 9 a.m., 12 times at midday, and that's it. It doesn't bong again until midnight the following day. So those are the kind of times that it bongs. But yeah, nice little feature I thought I'd point out to you that was pointed out to me by one of my viewers. So thank you for that useful little feature. It's always nice to find out little hidden extras, in a game. So we now have to sort of head our way back to the farm. All of our crops are grown, so we have 2 fields of soybean that are both ready to harvest and fully fertilized. And we also have a full field of sugarcane that is now ready to harvest as well. That's what we're going to crack on with today. We're going to start working on our sugarcane. And I've made a couple of extra little purchases. So you may remember at the end of the last episode we had around about 56,000. Well, obviously it's a new day since then, and our daily expenses are currently around about a $5,000 a day loss. So that accounted for some of that money. And on top of that, I've also purchased a bucket for our forklift truck. I've also purchased an extra sugarcane trailer for this particular harvest and for future harvests as well. And I've also bought a conveyor belt as well to hopefully make loading and storing our sugarcane a little bit easier. So we're now down to around about 18,500, and we have got a little bit of loan left. I'm hoping that by trading in our single row billet planter, we'll actually have enough to be able to afford a double row billet planter using the leftover money we have and possibly dipping into the loan a little bit as well. Our seeder is currently worth around about 35,000, I think, brand new. There's a larger single row billet planter which has a bigger tank, which is I think around 45 to 50,000, and then the double row billet planter, which is the one we really want, that is around 80 odd thousand. I think it's $82,000. So quite pricey. It's a little beyond our price range, but as I say, with a trade-in on the planter that we have right now, coupled with the money that we have left over, and probably having to dip into what's left of our loan a little bit, we can probably end up getting the second, the other planter, the 2-row billet planter, which will make planting a lot quicker. We'll be doubling our speed effectively by planting twice as much crop. So I'm going to continue heading back to the farm, and I will catch up with you in just a second once we are there. As we return to the farm, you can see that our Chieftain trailer is now unloaded, put everything away. So we have those 2 pallets, or 2 big bags just there, and I've used up what's left of the other big bags, so they're gone. The other pallets have been stacked here nicely in the corner. There is the bucket for our forklift. I'm not quite sure why it's blue, but it is. I thought that I could actually change the colour of this, and you can't. What you actually end up changing is the metal strips that are just on the underside of this bucket. That's the only thing that changes colour. So don't do what I did and just waste several thousand trying to constantly change the colour to something else, because the main bucket itself will have that kind of bluish colour. And here's our conveyor belt. Now this is the old slow conveyor. This is one of the more recent mods, this one here. And this is actually a really, really, really good conveyor belt. I really like this thing. I've done a little test with this on a different map already. It will pick up off the ground. It can be self-driven, just like the other conveyor belts. It has these arms here that can hinge and fold up, and then obviously have these telescopic supports that come down as well. It also has these configurable side rails here, so that you can actually stop things from falling off, because you can put bales and pallets and all sorts of things on this thing, not just grain and fertilizer and things like that. So yes, if you had a log point that you wanted to just tip logs into a chipper, you could basically stand here next to a big pile of small logs, throw them onto this, and they would go up and then drop into whatever chipper that you have. If you wanted to put bales onto a higher level of storage, then you could do that with this. You could put a bale on there and the bale would go up. And that's kind of what these side grabs here are for, to stop things from rolling off the edge of the conveyor. And on top of that, you can also... Oops. Just messing around with the support legs a little bit there. You can see those going up and down, and then the arms will fold in like that. I really like those telescopic legs for additional support. But what you can also do, if I can remember which way to do it, I might need to get rid of that. Maybe I need to turn it on first. Is you can actually, there we go, you can actually reposition it this way as well, so you can slide it in and out along its frame, which is a really it doesn't extend it, it just moves its position. But I think that's a really cool little feature as well. So a cracking little conveyor belt, this. Really do like it. And of course, you know, you can change the height of it as well, like that. So we're going to use this to basically tip our sugarcane onto the ground right in front of this, so that we can then get this loading into the back of our storage container area here. Now, I don't know whether or not we're going to have an issue with going outside of a fill area, a tip area. We'll have to wait and see about that. There we go, let's just lift the wheels off the ground a little bit. Excellent. Need to turn the engine off on this as well. All of our other equipment is kind of on the field, ready to go. So here you can see our second tipper is connected up. We're ready to run chasing in this. But first off, let's get our harvester underway. And there we go. I need to set cruise control to the right speed. We're slightly faster because there are two versions of 6 miles an hour. There we go. And you can see the cuttings from the top there dropping down onto the ground below, and we're getting, you know, the good stuff in our trailers. Or we were. Did we drift a bit too far wide? I think we might have done. Certainly confused our header pipe there. It's a very, very small little harvester. This is going to take us an absolute eternity to get this field completely harvested, because it's a single row harvester. You see it just slowing down for a second there. It looks as though the AI has given up finishing that bit off. Is now turning. So there's something wrong with the AI on this particular field. I have absolutely no idea where he's going. It's just like seeing, you know, it reminds me of just watching like an animal running around in long grass, and all you can see is the tail sticking out. Let's see if we can at least get it to swivel round enough to keep on unloading. Yes, just. So, unfortunately, because of the way that the harvester works, that has this offset, it does mean that our guy is driving in the middle of all that stuff. You can't see it. It's just so thick and dense in there, you just cannot see the tractor that's driving our harvester. It's a shame it's not a more direct pull behind harvester of some kind, or maybe there was a front loader attachment of some kind. But the way it works, it does look a little bit silly, and it is a little bit, you know, These are not the greatest, you know, harvesters to use with AI. At least if you want to try and go in terms of realism. Ideally, what we'd have to do, you just see the tractor coming out the other end. Ideally, what we'd have to do is actually follow the, take the worker from one end of the field all the way to the other side of the field, and then go down that way. And that may just screw up the AI there by knocking that tractor out of place. Plus, what I want to try and do, if I just disconnect that trailer for a second, I'm going to jump over and very quickly manually take over from my worker. I want to get that bit that was missing done. Now you can attach a trailer to this, but again, the trailer is going to be slightly offset as well. So if you have crop destruction on, it will cause potential problems for you. You know, obviously a worker does not abide by crop destruction rules. Let's move this out of the way a bit more. There we go. So let's see if we can't at least sort out the stuff that got missed at the end of this first row. Because otherwise we're going to destroy that as we drive, you know, up here for the next pass. There you can see we are actually harvesting away. It's very awkward using this thing. As I say, really, ideally, if we're doing this manually, we should be going from one side of the field around to the other side again. But if I can at least get this strip done here, we'll just have to kind of live with it for a moment. I want to try and keep this thing running as much as possible, simply because of the time it's going to take us to actually get this harvest done otherwise. Go. So let's detach the trailer. Got some there that we didn't actually get harvested. It's been a little bit clunky getting started on this field here, but we're going to end up with a lot of sugarcane off here, and I just personally can't wait until I've got enough money to at least make a decent, you know, lease of the case harvester, which is what I'll probably end up doing before I can afford to buy one, is to lease it. Simply because I think it's going to be much easier for us to just operate like that. We won't have any issues where we're constantly trying to avoid driving into crop. It'll work out much nicer. So it's going to follow a single trailer here. Now remember, this crop has been fertilised 3 times, but the field wasn't ploughed. So we are losing 10% of the potential yield simply because we didn't plough this field first. But I'm okay with losing 10% of the yield this first time out. Okay, as I say, we're going to end up with an awful lot. These little trailers are actually quite cool, even if they do only hold 12,000 litres. They are kind of funky, I think. I like that we can see bits of the plant just spitting out the top there as well. Oh, and again, look, the worker is just refusing to finish this part of the field. Why is he doing that? Looks like we've got some real AI problems here. I think... Whoop, don't tip that over. Oh, we actually lost a little bit of our of our crop there because of that. We'll be able to get that back later with our forklift and our bucket, but yeah, this is turning out to be very, very clumsy. Very, very awkward. I think as long as we run like this, I have no idea still why it won't work properly on the field. Let's send him back down like this. I see, and now I'm damaging the crop by driving through it without the worker on because I didn't line him up properly. Alright, this time. So if we can at least get our worker to do... Oh, he's turning around again. Oh, this is just turning into an absolute nightmare. Come on, pop yourself out. Ah, dear. This has not been a fun experience so far. Trying to do my first ever sugarcane harvest with this equipment. This is just turning out to be a disaster. Alright, let's try and get better lined up this time. Again, I'm very wary of the fact that I'm driving into the crop. If I can at least get him to go down and do a full line. There we go. That'll tidy that line up by the look of it. We'll have to alternate between him using the trailer behind him and then us using our trailer as an offload point. So that if we need to, we can manually gain control. Trouble is, he's now not going to pick up our trailer because he's got his own trailer. So this has all kind of gone very, very wrong. How much is it going to cost us to actually lease one of these trailers? $29,000 or $28,000. That's too much for just one field. When we get to the point where we have a couple of fields, that'll be fine. But at this stage, that's too much. So instead, let's try something a little bit different. Let's get rid of this tractor here. So, engine off. Let's get in this one. See, even doing this, I'm making a mess of this as well. I think we're just going to have to do this manually. I think it's the only kind of solution that we have right now is to just do our harvesting manually and hope that I haven't wasted money on a second trailer. In fact, actually, if I pull alongside this, like that, and let's jump into the New Holland. We can use this one as our shuttle trailer. This might be an easier thing to do. And then we can at least hire the AI to carry on for us while we run back and forth with a trailer's worth. So let me see if I position this right. If I do that there. Right, so the trailer controls are very simply kind of using L1 and then the right stick to sort of up and down will raise it, and then left and right will change the tip angle. So left and right does that, up and down does that on the hydraulics. You need to be holding L1 to do that. But there we go, we have 12,000 litres in here. So let's get the AI back up and running again for a moment while we go and tip our first load. And then we'll just have to keep alternating, I think, between AI control and manual control on the harvester, just to try and get this done without too many issues. So the AI is now up and running again. Let's take this over to our belt and start loading up our conveyor with this sugarcane. And also, this gives us a chance to see whether or not we're going to have fill issues, you know, whether we're going to have tip triggers that are going to go through the back of the building. I don't know how good the tip collisions on this building are going to be, because I've never tried to store grain or anything inside it before. I'm facing the wrong way round. So there we go. Now this conveyor should work with this. Maybe I need to actually turn it on. Yes, I needed to turn it on. There we go. So the next question now is going to be, are we going to be... Actually, I don't need to have that all the way extended, really, do I? Bring it down a bit. Tip at a different angle. Maybe get a bit more on the ground. Maybe even tip directly onto the belt itself. Is that going to go through the back of the building? So far, oh, now we're starting to get to the edge, so I think, are we going to see that creeping through the back? We're about to find out, I think. Still tipping from a nice big height. I hope that it's actually going to kind of just do what it's doing, which looks as though it's going to stop, and we are going to have a pretty solid back wall. I'm not seeing anything come through, so that's kind of encouraging. I was a little worried that might be a problem, but so far seems to be okay. Oops, a little bit of a wall there. Looks as though that container's getting a little bit full. He's not far off, yeah, so let's go ahead and meet him at the other end of the field. Is he still doing that, refusing to cut the last part of the field, I wonder? I hope not. No, it does look like he's actually cutting the entire length of the field now, so it's just this little bit here on this corner. I'm not sure if there's if it's maybe this bump here maybe that's causing the issue, or maybe he just doesn't like being too close to these trees, but these trees are a bit of a distance off, so I'd be surprised if that's the problem. Oh, and there we go, we are full, so let's get this trailer in position. First off, I need to cancel the worker, otherwise he's just going to continue cutting. There we go, trailer lined up. goes the tip, and we shouldn't be losing anything on the ground either. I was very careful with the way I got it lined up. So that little 107 litres remaining is what's left over. Yeah, we have a full 12,000 litres. It's that little cut that he did just before I forgot to turn the worker off. So it looks as though this is going to be how we're going to do our sugarcane harvest, is run the AI on the field and then just manually unload into this trailer so that he can keep on working while we shuttle this back to our conveyor, get our stock loaded up over there. So we're finding a method that's kind of working with what, let's face it, you know, pretty difficult to use equipment in single player. Or at least, you know, to move at an efficient kind of pace. Oops, facing the wrong way again. Let's turn around. And tip. And again, I'm just going to quickly check to make sure that we are actually staying inside. It does look as though the the fill mechanics are treating that as a solid object. I really hope that is the case. Yeah, nothing is coming out the back, so I think we're pretty safe in that respect. That's good. I was seriously worried that that was going to be an issue, but it looks as though it will be absolutely fine. There we go. Let's just try and tip that out a little bit quicker so we can get back to the field. Just power sliding around that corner there. Got a little bit left over there from when we messed up the start of the previous harvest, so it's not too much of an issue, I suppose. You can see the height of the sugarcane against the height of our tractor. It's just, you know, insanely big. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stick with the AI for a second. I want to see just how big it looks from in cab, because obviously he's going to turn around, he's going to drive through this crop when he gets to the end, so I want to see just how big it looks and whether we can actually see it through the sunroof. We should be able to, but this could be quite an interesting little experience here. So, making the turn. Genuinely curious as to just how big this is going to look. Oh, look at that. Just literally, we can't see anything other than leaves. Can't even see, we can barely see the steering wheel. Oh, that's crazy. Look at that. You can't even see the sun, you know, or the sky. You can just see little flicks of blue here and there, but you can't even see out the sunroof because it's just leaves. That's mental. I mean, there you can see just just how tall it is. It's absolutely crazy. Somewhere in there is our our tractor. It's almost like Jaws. Get the Jaws music playing. This is going to suddenly pop out at the other end of the field. Actually, this could be a problem. Ah, that's not good. Alright, I'm going to have to help him out as he gets to the end here, so we don't lose yet more crop inside there. think we're going to need bigger tippers than these two. I mean, they'll do the job for this harvest, but I think going forward we're going to need to trade these in and get something a little bit bigger, because these just aren't going to be up to the job for the, you know, when we get those larger fields. This is a pretty small field, field 14. I mean, it's smaller than field 1, and field 1 and 2 are both going to be sugarcane planted after we've got that soybean off the field. So if these two are struggling on this field, I dread to think how bad it's going to be on fields 1 and 2. It's just going to be horrible. So why is he stopped? Oh, because he's full. That's why he stopped. So release the worker. Let's get our tipper alongside. There we go. These things will tip at a steady angle, but you can go all the way right over like that if you need to. There we go. He's off and running again. We are back off to our conveyor belt. And this is going to give us a good indication as well as to how quickly we're going to be filling up our storage area, as to whether or not we're going to need to extend it out the back. And rather than building sort of extra just boxes on the back, what I'll do is I'll actually take that separating wall out and just have a long box. Ah, we've reached the tip point. So is that as high as it's going to go given its position? Or has it just turned itself off? I think it just turned itself off because we were away from it for too long. Let's really extend the height of that. So I'll have to be wary of that. Now it's stopped again. Has it turned itself off again? Or is the other stuff now too far away? It shouldn't be too far away. Again, it's turned itself off. Oh, this is going to be a problem. It's going to keep doing this to us. It was fine at first. Why is it now playing up? I mean, we're staying pretty close to it, so it should, in theory, stay active. And you can see it's moving. It does look as though we're going to have to stay here while it tips everything, which is a bit of a problem. Maybe we could get a second one of these and tip against both conveyors to speed the storage option up a little bit. But again, we're going to have the same issue. Is the second we drive away too far, those things are going to turn themselves off again. So really don't want that to be a problem going forward. How about if I use this, leave this switched on, and drive this a little bit closer? Trying to remember how to There's the bucket tilt. So if I leave this running just here, hopefully that will solve the issue of that thing turning itself off, although I've got a feeling it'll probably just turn both pieces of equipment off because we've been away from them for too long. We'll see. Hopefully they'll still be running when we get back with our next batch of sugarcane. So it's going to be a long process doing this, and we're running real time, so you're getting to see all the kind of teething issues that I'm running into as I'm trying to do this myself. So hopefully you guys won't end up having the same situations yourself, because you'll have seen what's happened to me and you'll be able to kind of learn from those issues and mistakes that I've made or had. Looks like we might have lost a litre at the initial tip there. Probably not. Sometimes the film mechanics do just lose a litre, although I thought that might be it for a second then. So we've got another trailer to unload. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue harvesting this between this episode and the next one, because otherwise you're going to end up, given how long it's taking us to get not that far into the field, it's going to take an eternity to get this done. So what we'll do is we'll continue this harvest once this episode finishes, and then the belt's turned off again. Look. And then when you come back next time out, we'll do our soybean, and then we'll start planting. And then we'll try and find a new task for the farm. Maybe start working towards getting some cows up and running, because I want to try out the new cows, the new cow models on this map. Let's move this out of the way as well. That obviously has not worked. This is the one downside to that belt, is that it has to be switched on to operate. Whereas the other belts don't need to be switched on. They only need to be switched on, the groomer belts in here. These don't need to be switched on. These only need to be switched on if you want to reposition them, with their wheels, when you want to drive them. For everything else, they will work just fine without the engine running. Obviously this one is a little bit different, and that's a bit of a shame, forcing us to have to, keep the engine running on it. I mean, we do have engine start off, but that doesn't seem to... It should, in theory, leave those on permanently, but it doesn't. The game just automatically turns stuff off for you if you're away from it for too long, or if it's too far away from you. Then it will just automatically turn it off, and it's frustrating at times, because it can do it instantly sometimes. Sometimes it'll leave it for a little while and you'll be fine, as long as you get back there in a certain time. Other times, like I say, literally the second you jump out, it's gone, it's switched off, and it's so frustrating because it should stay on. So maybe that mod would work better if it could actually, the belt would function without the need for the engine to be running. How are we getting on over here? We've got a few little tufts that we can probably tidy up at the end. But you can see just how little progress we've actually made on our sugarcane over here. How much is it going to cost us for bigger tippers? I think I might just go ahead and upgrade to a couple of these. We're going to get, these are 19,000, so we're probably going to get around about 17,500 each for these when we trade them back in. Maybe a little less than that. So that'll be 34,000. So that'll be enough to buy one of those. And then we're going to need to take out probably an extra 10,000, 15,000 on what we currently have. Do I even have the cash for that? I do. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's take out an extra 20,000. I'm going to wait till this gets to the end. We're going to go and upgrade these tippers. I wanted to keep some cash in reserve so that I had enough to be able to, look at maybe upgrade our planter, but we need those bigger tippers. These are just too small. They're really struggling. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll get two of those new, those next size up. So I'll fire the worker. Just damage the crop again, just coming out of there a little bit. But let's drop off the tipper. Let's park there. Excuse me. So I was trying not to sneeze. Failed miserably. Let's collect this trailer. Let's go empty it. And then we'll take these straight back to the store and buy something else. So we'll get the next size up, because these are just too small, really. And this tractor really struggles to get up to speed. Even when these are empty, just pulling two of these is a bit of a struggle on this little 105 horsepower engine. Once it gets up to speed, it's not too bad, but you can see, that's how long it took us to get to 20 miles an hour. It is definitely a bit of a struggle. And the weight is a slight of an issue as well. The height of the hitch is so bad that the rear wheels just aren't getting proper traction, so you can see that the tractor is sliding a little bit. And there's the belt turning off again. But at least our shed is working out really nicely. So you can see we've got that nice solid edge up there. I thought this would be a good belt to use, but I'm starting to think that we might have to replace this as well. How much is the other belt going to cost us? That's 12,000. You see, the great thing about this one here is it will pick up off the ground, whereas the other one won't. So we will need, a different, the small belt to go with the larger, the Grimmer belt as well. And so that's going to be another, what, 5,000-6,000 on top? No, 5,000. So that's 17,000 for those. I'm probably only going to get about 5,500 back for that. I just don't have the money. We're going to have to make do with what we've got. I mean, it's not too bad, but it's not as good as it could be. Let's get these back off to the store. So we'll shortcut our way out through the clamp just here. And see what I mean about this really struggling to get up to speed. Really doesn't like getting going. And it's not that these, I think, are too heavy. I think it's just the pull bar is mounted at just the wrong height for this tractor, so it just lifts those rear wheels off the ground a little bit, so they don't get proper traction. Although the weight of the tippers may also be a factor. I mean, you can see the rear wheels, they are spinning quite fast. But the tractor does just kind of skate around a little bit, almost like it's on ice when it's pulling these. And we're on a slight incline, so we still haven't hit top speed. There's 24, and look how far away we are from the farm. We are really, really working this little Massey hard. There we go, there's top speed. And now we get a slight down incline. And you'll see on this corner the slide effect. So let's pull these in. I think I might even really struggle to pull the other ones back. Let's drop those off. We're getting close to the point as well where we're going to need to just get a Valtra. I did actually say a few episodes ago that, you know, I wanted to go with the orange Valtra just because I thought it would fit the theme of the farm quite well. It actually does work prototypically as well. After recording that particular episode nearly a week ago, when I first recorded that particular episode, I did, you know, then go online and have a look at the kind of tractors that are traditionally sold in Brazil, and you know, New Holland is there, you know, Valtra is definitely there, but you know, Massey Ferguson is the brand that actually dominates sales in Brazil. They make up about 30% of all tractor purchases in Brazil are Massey Ferguson. And Valtra were in second, but I think New Holland have just overtaken them in the last year or two. So actually getting an orange Valtra, while maybe not necessarily the, you know, would be realistic in terms of the colour, the machinery itself would definitely be prototypical with this particular farm. You know, we could go with a Massey. That would definitely be prototypical. As I say, about 30% of all new tractors in Brazil are Massey Fergusons. They are the largest, most popular brand of tractors in Brazil. But yeah, Valtra would work really, really well, both in terms of just on our farm in general and in real life as well. It is definitely one of those tractors that you would definitely see. So I think an orange themed Valtra works perfectly for us going forward. We just need to now save up enough money to be able to buy one. It's going to cost us, what, about 180,000? Maybe not quite that much, but certainly it's going to cost us over 150, I think, for the base model. I'll have a quick look when we get back to the farm. We've got these two TT Colossus tippers here. These hold 20,000 litres each, so definitely bigger, heavier, more imposing, and causing some real problems for our little Massey here. See, it's really, really struggling. We just need something a bit bigger and a bit heavier than what we currently have. Maybe, I don't really want to get rid of this just yet, but going forward we might have to. I think we might have to say goodbye to our little Massey, unless we keep this instead of getting the car, and we use this to just kind of cruise around the town a little bit with our little sunshade. It's kind of a convertible, right? It's not far off. I don't know, I want to try and use as much of the new equipment on this farm as physically possible, because that's what this playlist is all about. It's all about showing off the new Platinum DLC, you know, and if we're just filling it up with, you know, base game stuff and mods, then we're not really doing it justice. So we should probably keep it. Just trying to think, you know, where we could use it. And I realise, you know, I have kind of broken that in a way already by getting the forklift in, but the forks are just a little bit too big for that. Even though they were start again. Even though they were the smaller of the two sets of forks, they were just too big for that little Massey, and it was too cumbersome. So you know, because we want to do a lot of pallet work on this farm, you know, it just made sense to get the forklift. Be much quicker and much more efficient. Now I wonder, is this going to count as a stage of fertilization? You know how cutting grass gives you a stage of fertilization for free? Are we getting that with this? No, we are not. We are literally just, you know, having a completely uncut section of field. Why is that still blue like that? That indicates there's still some crop there. That's very strange. So maybe we just weren't lined up properly, and there's still actually some, you know, sometimes you'll get, like, especially with sunflowers, you'll get a line of sunflowers that's there but not visible. I think that might be the case with our sugarcane. I think we've got a line or two that's there but just isn't visible, that needs to be cut. So we'll have to perhaps run over manually at the end, see if we can pick that up, clean the field off properly. But we should get 3 harvests out of this field before we need to actually, you know, rip it up and clean it all to pieces. We're not going to go with 3 harvests on this field of sugarcane. We're going to cultivate as soon as this field's done, because we're going to move our sugarcane over to fields 1 and 2, and this is going to be a crop field. I'm also going to look at resculpting the field a little bit, see if I can actually add in a bit more working width and space on it. But yeah, this is going to take a very long time to actually get completely harvested. So I'm going to carry on working away like this in real time, and we'll see exactly what time it is on the clock when I'm finished. So that'll be at the start of the next episode. So thanks for watching. I'm Jim Bob, and I'll be back with some more Estancia Lapacho and Farming Simulator 17 Platinum Edition very soon.